Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day to all of the viewers. So for this session, we're gonna continue our lesson on introduction to the Revit on the step on how to modeling the floor and how to modeling the ceiling on top of the projects. Okay. Okay, we move back to Revit. So this is the project that we have done from the previous lesson. So as you can see here, we have the set of the walls and set of the doors and windows component. So and then the missing part and the missing component here is this project or this model is doesn't have the floor and ceiling yet. So we're gonna complete that by this lesson. Okay, so how to start to draw the floor? So the first one is we have to go back to the views the ground floor plan. So I just simple click on the ground floor in the project browser, and then you can see here, this is on the tab here, this is the views of the ground floor. So in here, so how to start to draw that? So under architecture, and then you can direct choose the floor. Okay, so again, before we start draw our component or draw the element into our project, so we have to know what kind of the element, what type, what is the size. So again, you can choose what kind of the floor that you want to use, or you want to adapt, or you want to apply into your project. So over here, there are several types of the floors provided in this particular Autodesk Revit, and then I guess this is quite the basic type of the floor that have been used commonly in the project in the buildings. So for example, for this demonstration, so I just use the generic floor in the size in the width of the 150 millimeter. Okay, so one of the steps is to set up the boundary line for the wall. So for example here, this is my wall, so I want to build the floor inside this wall. So I just can simply choose the wall here as a boundary of my floor, for example. So as you can see, this the pink line appeared on the screen. Okay, so and then after I complete choosing the boundary, I just can simply click the green button there, and then as you can see here, there are certain error message appear, which is it stated that the lines cannot be intersect each other. So if you can, as you can see here, there are certain line that intersected. Okay, so how to do that? Just select this line, just set continue, and then select this line. Sorry. What I can do is for this line, you can set back. You can use the modify tools, or maybe you want to use trim, for example. You can use trim. Oh, sorry. So okay, so it's been trimmed. So and then right here we continue back, and then at the moment you can see that the floor is appeared within that boundary. So if I view back to the 3D, okay, so that's the floor have been constructed. Or if I view from the elevation, for example, so this the floor has been constructed within the boundary of the wall. Okay, so this is the first step. Okay, so how if we draw the wall by using our manual, the manual? Okay, so first of all, you have to choose first of all, I delete first this existing floor. So as you can see here, so again, if you want to do the modification on top of the project, so we have to select the element or the component that we want to delete or we want to modify. So if you find it difficult to select the component from the ground floor plan, you can use another view. For example, for this case, it's a bit difficult for me to select the floor, so I just choose from the elevation and then just simply choose the floor that I want to delete, and then just simply delete that. So go back to the ground floor plan. So how to do the floor by using another method. So just previously we use the automatic wall. So how if we want to draw our own boundary line for our floor? So just choose boundary line and then just pick the line, and then you can start draw anyway. For example, this is the ground floor, so maybe this could be the apron of my buildings or my project. So again, this one I don't draw that with the specific dimension. I just simply freely draw that. So maybe for your case later on, you have to follow the exact dimension and size. Okay, alright. So after you complete that, and then I just simply click OK. So the wall will appear. The wall will appear here. So how if you want to modify? So again, select the component. Okay. Select the component first. Oh, sorry. Okay. And then you can always edit the boundary. For example, after you have created the wall, the floor, sorry, you can edit the boundary, and then, for example, I want to do some void in my floor plan. So I just simply draw another boundary here, for example. Okay, so I just simply click here. So Revit will automatically detect that if you have the overlapping or offsetting lines, so it will create the void inside the wall. So again, if I want to edit again, so I always can edit the boundary, for example here. So I think that this could be too short, for example, so I just simply delete that, and then I just, or maybe I want to get another form, for example, so I just use the arch here. Okay, done. Okay, okay, so I have that form of the floor. Or maybe you want to add another void inside, so maybe you want to have the courtyard inside your buildings. So again, yes, you can see that. But in this case, I just demonstrate the floor in my ground floor plan. So definitely in your project, so you have to do that floor by floor. Okay, so view in the 3D. So this is the appearance of my floor plan at the moment. Okay. So this is from elevation. So as you can see that the floor is maybe it could be the apron of your buildings. So again, it depends on your design. Okay, so again, if I want to still editing my floor plan and my floor model, so I always can do the modification. So for example, maybe this area I want to get that entirely void, so I just create the boundary here, follow the points that automatically detects by the Revit. So and then just click finish. So as you can see here, this is totally void by following the wall, and then surrounded by the solid floor. So we can view that from the 3D. For example, this is this part. Okay, so this is how to draw the basic floor in the Revit. So I guess the floor is a bit quite straightforward component in the buildings, either it can be flat or either it can be slanted and so on. But again, so for example, in case that you want to apply the certain step, or you want to create the mezzanine, for example, so you can always add another floor plans here. For example, this one is 0 0, and then you add another level mezzanine floor, for example. But if you want to apply the step, for example, from floor in the living room to the bathroom, for example, there will be the step down. Again, we can go to the ground floor, so you can always choose this wall, and then you can edit the boundary, for example. So maybe for this area, so I want to make it lower, for example. So I just simply that. Okay, first of all, I just make a void. Okay, so under architecture, I create the new floor. So floor here. Okay, so here I can set the offset. So for example, I want to make it step down 50, so I just make it minus 50. So and then I can start to, I just simply draw the lines for easier. Okay, and I just click complete. Okay, so we can view from the section. So as you can see here, this is the middle part is sunken here. So in the 3D, so as you can see here, this part is a bit stepping down 50 millimeter compared to another level of floor. So you can view that clearly here in this particular elevation. So you can see that the floor is slightly sunken, or slightly lower compared to another level of floor. So by creating the new floor, and then you set the offset, the level in the properties. Okay, so and then you can, again, it's depend on your design. For example, if you have the split level, for example 100 or 150 millimeter, so again you can just simply create the new floor, and then you just play with the height offset in the properties. Okay, now we move to another kind of floor, which is as you can see here, this is entirely flat floor. So what if you want to make the floor that have certain angle, or certain slope, certain slope, for example. So again, in the ground floor, so I just simply choose the architecture and floor, and then architectural. So again, the first step is I just creating the boundary. So for example, I just make it in this particular area. Okay, right. So and then I choose slope arrow. So slope arrow means that you indicate where is the highest part and where is the lower part. So for example here, I use slope arrow, and I just simply draw the arrow, for example here. Okay, so once you set up the arrow, so you can see here in the properties, so you have to specify, for example, at the moment this is the height at the tails, and then the height offset is 300. So that's mean from one point to another point, the level of the slope is the different level of the floor is 300 millimeter. So for example, I just simply click complete. Okay, so we cannot see it here. So how if we view from elevation? Okay, sorry, we view from this 3D. Okay, so as you can see, just now we view from the source elevation, so we cannot see that because this is and as you can see here, the floor is a bit slanted here by using that by using the value of the arrow, which is, and then by value of the level that we set previously, which is 200 millimeter. So again, it depends on your design preference. So for example, if I view from north elevation, for example, so let's simply save project. Okay, so for example, oh, this one so can see. How about west elevation? Okay, as you can see here, so here you can always shade the example. So this is the floor that you that been created just now. So which is the slope from one point to another point. So again, so do you need that? So maybe you need that if you want to design the ramp, for example. So but commonly for the floor, we're gonna design that in the flat level, in the flat orientation. So but again, it depends on your design. So this is how to draw that lah in your project. Okay, we go back to the 3D. Okay, right. So this, for example, I just simply delete that. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so now we move to the next part, which is okay. So before that, so I just simply draw back my floor. Okay, so I go to the ground floor. Okay, right. So just one line. I just draw the line. Just draw the line, for example. Okay, so that's the floor of these elements. So right now I want to make the ceilings of my level here. So if we view from the 3D now, so we have the floor, but we don't have the ceiling yet. Okay, so as you can see here, so the floor is slightly offset. So that's why, because just now I set it offset 50, so this one I just make it 0 back. Okay, and then it's going back to the bottom part of the wall. So but again, it depends on how you set in the leveling of your drawings later on. Okay, so and then right now we want to draw the ceiling. Okay, so but first of all, for the ceilings, okay, so the first one is we have to get the ceiling in our project browser. So at the moment, I already created that before. So how to get that? Just go to the view and plans views, and then you just click the reflected ceiling plans. Okay, and then after that you just click okay, and then after that the ceiling plans will be views according to the numbers of the level that you created into your Revit lah. Okay, so for example, I want to create this is the level in the ground floor. So I want to create the ceiling in the ground floor. So I just simply click on this ceiling plans. So it's really bring me to this. So again, in a way to draw the elements or component in your Revit, so you can always choose what kind of the ceiling that you want to use. Okay, so I go back to the architecture and I go to the ceiling. Okay, so there's numbers of the ceilings that you can see here. So and then I believe that you can get that in the my beam library, if I'm not mistaken, so you can check that. So for example, for here I just use the planes, plane shielding. So for the shielding, so it will be automatically detects the boundary. So for example here, so the numbers of the boundary, so I just simply click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just click that one time, so because sometimes it's gonna be overlap. So then after that, you can view that from the 3D. So it's already created or it's already drawn in your project, the shielding here. Okay, so just by simply click on the boundary. Okay, so again, you can set the offset of your shielding from the ground. So for example, if you do the double volume, for example, and then the height of the area is higher, so you can always set that in this particular option. Okay, and then similar to the, okay, so that's for the shielding lah. So similar to the floor, so you can always create your own boundary. So for example, I delete back the shielding here. So I go back to this ground floor reflected shielding plan. So I go to shielding, and then I can do the sketch shielding, just like you draw the boundary of your floor just now. So for example here, for this part, I want to do that half, for example. So maybe just half of this area that have the shielding. So it will be counted at the shielding. And then maybe in this part, I want to make it some design here. So curve shielding. Okay. Curve shielding. Okay, so I just simply click here. So this is the shielding. So let's see on the 3D. So that's the shielding that have been created. So by setting up the boundary of the shielding. Okay, so I guess that's somehow for this session, which is we have learned on how to draw the element. I can say that the horizontal element, which is the floor and the shielding, into the project. So it's a bit straightforward for the common building design, unless if you have such a dynamic or deconstructivism building design. So it might be challenging for you to draw that. So as what I demonstrate here, this is more or less is a basic form of the buildings, square and angular lines. But unless if you have such a dynamic design, for example, so it's maybe quite challenging for you to draw that in the Revit lah. But again, so we have to learn that, and we have to do that step by step lah. Okay, so again, there will be exercise. So as usual, so you have to give the link for your drive, and then you just screenshot your progress to draw the project by referring to the set of the data that you have collected from the architectural firm. So I guess that's all for this session. Okay, thank you.